Here comes Sims. Pedaling into the paint, leaning and hitting a 10-0 run to start this game for Indiana. And Minnesota wants a timeout. Caitlin Clark knows it.
What did Kelsey Mitchell say in the locker room after Indiana's third straight win that had everyone talking? The Fever just took down the Lynx while missing 5 key players, including Caitlin Clark. That moment captured exactly where this team's mindset is heading into the postseason. Mitchell's message might be the clearest sign yet that Indiana doesn't see themselves as long shots. They see themselves as real contenders, ready to flip the narrative in 2025. If you're hyped for the playoffs, drop a "fired up for the Fever" in the comments. Let's roll.
I know a lot of people will talk about Nafisa not playing, but I think they're really good with or without her. They're just a really great basketball team. So I think it was a big win for us because they set the bar high standard wise. We know what to expect when it comes to Minnesota Lynx. And so I think going into the playoffs, it was big for us because, being able to know, guarding Courtney Williams, knowing that her thing is a pull-up, knowing that now instead of not knowing that, it's big for us because we give ourselves a chance. And if they are the standard, we get to see where we are.
How does a team missing 5 of its core players string together 3 consecutive wins against some of the league's toughest opponents? That's exactly what the Indiana Fever just pulled off. Not long ago, this group looked all but written off, yet the sudden surge feels like one of the season's most surprising twists. With Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Carlson, Chloe BBY, and Ari McDonald all unavailable, the Fever were without 5 rotation pieces, including their biggest star in Clark. For most squads, losing that much firepower would signal the end of their playoff hopes, especially this late in the season.
Fever done with the MVP, okay? Bow, bow, bow! Hell yeah.
You already know what it is. Dubs in the chat, you already know what it is. Woo! You already know what it is. Let's go to the playoffs with some momentum, baby.
Just a short time ago, this was a team that had dropped 4 of its last 5 contests. At that point, Indiana's postseason hopes seemed to be slipping through their fingers. Fans were questioning whether the Fever even had enough healthy players to stay competitive, let alone pick up wins against opponents like the Lynx. The sense of doubt was creeping in fast, as if a season that once carried so much potential was on the verge of unraveling right in front of everyone.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been impressed with these guys since even the offseason, really the ones that I was able to work out with in the offseason, is how hard they work. It's there's a work ethic and there's a work style, and to approach everything in the same way, to be so energetic, enthusiastic, and dedicated every day. And I felt that way in training camp too. There weren't any days where I had to bring that out of them. So I think it's the nature of the women that we've brought into this organization to continue to just bust their butts and play hard.
But rather than folding, the Fever found a way to reinvent themselves on the fly. Head coach Stephanie White emphasized a straightforward mantra for her players: be where your feet are. On the surface, it sounds simple, but it carried deeper weight. It challenged the team to stop dwelling on who is missing and instead concentrate on the players who are on the floor, what roles they could step into, and how they could make an impact on every single possession.
It's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. And, these are things that you have to go through. I often say there's no substitute for experience, and the experience that these guys have to continue to reinvent, to have to continue to find different ways to get back up and to play through some different struggles is not just paying us dividends this season, but as far as what it's doing for our culture, it's going to pay dividends for many years to come.
That mindset came through right away in their matchup with Minnesota. Indiana exploded to a 10-0 start, setting a pace that completely caught the Lynx off guard. They weren't sitting back. They dictated the energy on both ends of the floor. Shots were dropping, the defense was flying around, and just like that, the Fever had flipped the narrative. Instead of being buried by injuries, they took control of the game. You could see it everywhere: veterans battling for key rebounds, bench players throwing themselves after loose balls. The whole roster embraced the idea that their best shot at winning came from outworking whoever was across from them on every possession. It wasn't always smooth, but it was relentless. That's the difference between a team just trying to hang on and a team determined to win. And the reward? That victory not only gave the Fever their first winning record since 2015, it cemented resilience as their new identity. They weren't defined by who was missing, but by how they responded. And while this transformation has been a collective effort, it's also been powered by individuals stepping up in major ways. At the forefront is Kelsey Mitchell, whose standout season is rewriting the trajectory of Indiana basketball.
I love y'all!
With Caitlin Clark sidelined, the obvious question became, who would rise to the occasion and keep Indiana's season alive? It wasn't just about replacing her numbers, it was about finding leadership, scoring, and energy from new sources. That's what made the showdown with Minnesota so revealing. It proved that the Fever's depth isn't just holding on, it's thriving under pressure. Many fans feared that without Clark and Sophie Cunningham, the offense might stall out. And, to be fair, it was a reasonable worry. Those two bring the kind of shooting that shapes the team's spacing. But instead of grinding to a halt, Indiana found answers through versatility, spreading the responsibility across the roster and discovering new ways to generate momentum.
Only 8 teams have ever done that. 7 of them went on to win the title. As Boston gets free and lays it in.
She will be on my first team.
Boston in the paint, sneaks through 2 and lays it in.
Boston went to work inside, slipping through defenders and finishing at the rim. Aaliyah Boston proved she's far more than just a presence in the paint. She orchestrated the offense from the post like a guard trapped in a center's frame. She matched her own rebounding record, pulling down everything within reach, and every touch on the block forced Minnesota's defense to collapse. Those double teams opened driving lanes and kick-out opportunities, creating looks for her teammates and setting the tone for Indiana's attack.
Here's Boston off the steal, coast to coast, and in for 2. Here comes Sims. A little hop. As she took it inside the arc. Boston able to finish. Looked like she was getting hugged, but was persistent.
And then there was Odyssey Sims, showing she's far from done. Coming off the bench with a 15-point performance, she looked like a player who had been waiting for the right moment to remind everyone what she can do. Afterward, Sims described it as a fresh beginning, telling reporters, "For me, the new season starts on Sunday."
Williams. Turner finds the cutter. Sims using the window on a really nice pass.
That wasn't just a clever soundbite. It perfectly captured the mindset Indiana has carried through this stretch. Sims provided stability in the backcourt, controlled the tempo, and gave the Fever an additional playmaking option that Minnesota never quite solved. Her performance spoke volumes about both her readiness and the team's confidence in leaning on her, and just as the Lynx looked ready to rally, Aerial Powers delivered her punch. Draining back-to-back threes, she halted Minnesota's surge and swung the momentum firmly back to Indiana. In that moment, you could feel the entire game tilt.
Playing in her 8th game with the Fever in their ever-expanding roster because of their injuries. Williams went for the steal. Powers sticks the jumper from 3.
That was the clear side of the floor, and Atisha Heidemann read the defense beautifully.
Howard, good position on the interior. Draws 2, kicks it out. Powers, you bet! Back-to-back threes from Aerial Powers. Caitlin Clark, euphoric on the bench.
Those two shots hit like a dagger, not only for their timing but for the sheer confidence behind them. Powers didn't waver, and in doing so, she gave her team crucial breathing room at a pivotal moment in the game.
Mitchell draws 2 defenders, races away. Home steps inside and flips it in. Really patient. Odyssey Sims with 13, Kelsey Mitchell with 12, Jessica Shepard with 12, Alana Smith with 11. Here's Hull, another.
Kelsey Mitchell.
Lexi Hull showed once again that she's more than just a role player. She was active everywhere, switching on defense, challenging shots against bigger forwards, and still contributing on offense. Coaches value players who can guard multiple positions, and Hull's versatility has become a cornerstone of Indiana's defensive identity. On top of that, her ability to score without relying on set plays makes her an essential piece of the team's success.
Tonight for Indiana, but then Bolton gives it right back, and Howard cashes in.
To perform like this, but they have 5 different players almost at all times who can bring the ball up the floor. Usually 4 or 5 were adept at making shots from deep. I mean, you just saw a big there creating her own look as well from Natasha Howard. Career high in terms of her field goal percentage, and you see her here, the little spin to the middle. That's a tough shot.
Natasha Howard quietly anchored the front court with her efficiency. She found her rhythm offensively, battled for rebounds, and provided balance so Boston didn't have to carry the pain alone. Watching her work on the boards and stretch the floor made it clear just how much she studies this roster, especially in games where rotations are limited. By the final buzzer, the box score told the story. 5 players in double figures. That wasn't a fluke. It was proof of a team refusing to rely on a single star. They're showing they can score from multiple angles, defend as a unit, and trust each other to perform. And even off the court, Caitlin Clark continues to elevate the team's energy from the bench, making her presence felt on every play. There's a comment from Kelsey Mitchell after the Fevers when that's still making waves. It wasn't a highlight from the game, and it wasn't about her scoring. It happened later, in the locker room, and it resonated with her teammates in a way that perfectly captures the essence of the season. We'll get to her exact words in a moment, but first, it's worth understanding why what she said had such an impact.
You know, kind of all the other things like offensive rebounding that she can do.
Knocked away. Boston comes up with a steal. Here is Mitchell veering through the paint and lays it in.
She's so quick, and especially when she gets out in the open floor, you'll see her coming down. The quick left to right crossover just gets by. I thought she was sprinting. I didn't think she was lumbering.
It was a lumber sprint.
Up for the big girl.
Mitchell like a blur. That's a sprint.
Mitchell isn't just having a strong season. She's putting together the highest scoring campaign in Indiana Fever history. For the first time, a player in franchise history is averaging more than 20 points per game over a full season. That's more than a stat to glance at. It's rewriting the record books for a team that hasn't had this level of offensive firepower in nearly a decade. When people point to Indiana's first winning record since 2015, Mitchell stands out as a major reason behind it.
Kelsey, how much pride do you take in the fact that you started in every game now for 2 straight years, and on top of that, you're now the points per game leader in franchise history?
Man, I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm never gonna give up. I'm never gonna. If I'm able, willingly, 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms to play the game, because a lot of people can't, I'm gonna play. It may not, fall my way all the time, but you never have to worry about me not being present, especially if I don't have anywhere else to be. So that's just what that is. I'm never gonna not play and compete. You're never not gonna see me sit out if I don't need to. And so it's just about staying. I've obviously having rhythm and being who I want to be, but I'm all about basketball when it comes to just finishing it out.
The road to this point hasn't been smooth. With Caitlin Clark sidelined and opposing defenses focused entirely on her, Mitchell had every reason to slow down, yet she kept delivering night after night. Teams trapped her, doubled her on the perimeter, and tried to deny her touches. In previous seasons, those tactics might have forced turnovers or rushed shots. This year, however, she displayed a new level of poise. She knew when to shoot, when to pass, and when to slow the offense down. That kind of leadership doesn't always show up in the box score. Mitchell wasn't just scoring. She was guiding the team. She took control when Indiana needed a basket, but also trusted her teammates to make plays in critical moments. That balance between attacking and distributing allowed players like Sims, Powers, and Hull to step into big opportunities with confidence. They knew Mitchell wasn't trying to carry the team alone. She was making sure everyone had a chance to contribute.
Up on that, Odyssey, you've played against Kelsey a lot, but now that you're her teammate, what stands out to you about her scoring and the way she goes about working on things like that?
Bucket, instant offense, try your best to keep her in front. Trap, that doesn't work. Hard hedge doesn't work. You just gotta play as hard as you can just to really keep her in front of you. Seriously. I mean, a lot of people say, it's a fact, but you ask who's one of the toughest guards, who's one of the hardest guards to guard, she's definitely number one.
I appreciate that.
Hands down.
Then there are the numbers. Career high averages and a new franchise record for points per game in a single season. What makes it even more impressive is that she's achieving this while often matched up against the opponent's top defender night after night. Against the Lynx, even with defenders bumping and contesting her every time she came off a screen, Mitchell still finished with 18 points. That she could maintain control of the game's flow while absorbing so much defensive pressure shows just how much her game has grown this season.
Here's Mitchell trying to find an angle and does. Just serving it in with the left hand. Aerial Powers made a big impact off the bench in the first half. Here's Mitchell, open three. It's good.
The organization has taken note as well. The Fever aren't just letting Mitchell's season speak for itself. They're actively promoting an MVP case. From graphics to highlights and special features, everything is aimed at showing the league and fans that she belongs in that conversation.
And rightfully so.
She's not only guiding her team into the playoffs, but also establishing herself as the face of the franchise.
Kelsey Mitchell is a scorer. She has always been a scorer. For her to not just do what she does well and do it in an efficient manner, but then to take on playmaking abilities for her teammates, I think has really expanded her game a little bit and really showed what she's capable of doing. And by the way, we've had to put her on sometimes the best perimeter defenders or best perimeter offensive players, especially the ones that are in ball screens a lot. So we continue to put more on Kelsey Mitchell's plate, and she just continues to rise to the challenge. So I'm incredibly proud of her. She's been through the ringer, and in this organization, and she deserves to continue to elevate her game in the way that she has, and under different circumstances. So I'm proud of her. She's carried us.
So, what were the words that resonated in the locker room? Mitchell told her teammates, "You've seen our growth." For simple words, but they carried weight because they weren't about her, they were about the team. About a group that had been underestimated, learning to play together, and refusing to collapse no matter who was absent. Those words captured exactly what makes this season unique for Indiana. This team isn't just surviving the challenges of injuries and doubt, they're turning them into proof that they're building toward true contender status. And Kelsey Mitchell is the voice reminding everyone just how far they've come.